Welcome to the Ballads of the Bartender. This is a video summary of a live playthrough that I did of Baldurs Gate 3 as a bard named Zuo. This video will cover the prologue to the end of the goblin camp fight. I hope you guys enjoy. I had a lot of fun doing this video. Here we go. The game starts off perfectly bug-free with our protagonist Zuo sticking out of the pod like how the game's intended. No, I watched the whole video about this guy going to every margarita. No, not every time I start an official run, I poke out like a f***ing idiot. I hate it. I f***ing hate it every time, dude. Why can't I just pop out normally? What the f***? Every run where I play with other people, I pop out normally. Every time I start. After looting the first room and going up a very slow elevator, we were able to pick up our first brain puppy companion, us. Besides, how could you say no to that cute little brain? Moving on ahead, we were introduced to Lizelle and proceeded to rescue Shadowheart so we can have maximum mommy power for the fight at the helm. I really want that Everburn blade that Commander Zulk is holding, so I prepared Command from Shadowheart so she can nicely ask Commander Zulk to drop his weapon, and then ideally kill him so we can get maximum XP exiting the prologue. But Commander Zulk refuses to die and his Cambion homies kept showing up before we could kill him. And after an hour of trying to kill him, I decided it was best to cut my losses, grab the sword, and run. But unfortunately, our brain puppy buddy didn't make it. No, us is dead! Rest in peace. After a smooth landing and a parasite in my head, I picked up Shadowheart and went ahead to look for new companions. First buddy we stumbled upon is Astarion. Hi, sister! I did send him to camp immediately because I don't particularly need a rogue at the moment. Not before I stole his clothes though. After attuning to a magical blood bowl to rescue Gale, I picked up Lizelle to make up my 4-man dream team. Next up on the list is to pick up our bony friend Withers, so then we can respec our classes anytime we need to, and to have campsite gossip whenever we get a romance partner. Heading into the entrance of the ruins, I managed to roll my first natural 20 on a deception check to get the bandits on the outside of the ruins to leave, and then I passed the performance check to get inside. And after a very friendly introduction, we quickly dispatched of all the bandits inside the ruins. After entering one of the side rooms, Gale picks up a book that after a religion check lists out the names of every god, except for 3 that were particularly crossed out for some reason. Surely this isn't foreshadowing anything that's happening further down the line. We then rattled all the skeletons that were guarding the ruins and picked up Withers. Mission accomplished. Next up, we move on over to Emerald Grove to stop a goblin invasion. I moved my team uphill and started the cutscene there so we would have an advantage upon starting the fight. Luckily, this fight ended with no casualties on our side. I can't say the same for the goblins though. And with that fight over, our team has already reached level 3. As I entered the entrance of the grove, I stopped a catfight between Aridin and Zevlor, and then I beeline my way upwards to stop a bugbear from assassinating a tiefling. I try my best to make sure I save everyone I can during this run, which means I have to head inside and make sure Roland and his siblings stay put in the grove. This was when Gale confesses to me that he has a weird addiction to clothing laced with weave, so I sent him back to camp for rehab, and then I picked up Will as a replacement caster. Moving past the gatekeeping druids, I was able to meet 2 fellow bards, Volo and Ophira, which I had 2 very interesting interactions with. For Ophira, I just kind of finished her song for her with fill in the blanks. After enjoying a nice little music video, I moved on over to save a tiefling child from a harpy attack. With that out of the way, I headed back and made sure Arabella didn't die from a snake bite. After having a chat with Kaga, Wrath, and Nettie, I would then head out back to the wilderness to continue our adventure. I ran into Edwin and his siblings, who I decided to kill because they were looking for survivors of the crash anyway. And then I tried to finish what he started by going after the owlbear. I got a little overconfident here, and me and Lizelle got our shit absolutely rocked. And luckily, Shadowheart and Will came in clutch. Of course, we spared the cub afterwards. Then we moved on over to pick up the best boy Scratch. Arriving at the blighted village, I passed an intimidation check on a goblin ambush so that I can free roam around without having any trouble. And roamed around I did because I picked up my first piece of infernal metal and the necromancy of Thay book. Heading over to the goblins at the windmill, I thought using the bard option would lead to a freebie, but it turns out it led to a free fight. Uh-oh. But after Will took out the main guy, everybody else just ran. And then I rescued the gnome by hitting the brakes on the windmill. What an unassuming guy. I'm sure we'll never see him again, and he has no story significance whatsoever. Moving for a quick detour, we went to the Love Shack and somehow passed a persuasion check, which somehow embarrassed the couple to leave without starting a fight. Shortly after, Raphael showed up and we had a little chat. And since I don't really want to go to the mountain pass just yet, I sent Lizelle back to camp since we're on our way to pick up Karlach anyway. And of course I brought Will along to make sure that they resolved all their issues before we moved on. And then we went for our next long rest and oh no, Will has horns now. Anyways, next day we moved on up from the river to deal with the Paladins of Tyr, which means we take out Anders as fast as possible before he one-shots anyone. Oh, God. That's okay. We still somehow managed to finish the fight without further casualties. The road up ahead is infested with hyenas and gnolls. Cutting through their numbers, I then confronted their pack leader Flind. I passed an Illithid wisdom check to have her consume her own pack, and then I passed another one to press the window shutdown on her own brain. After a quick chat with the Zentrum that I rescued, I quickly yoinked their chest and fast-traveled the hell out of there. We finally arrive upon a burning Walkeen's Rest. After learning that his dad might still be in the burning building, we'll use that dog in him to kick down the door. Look at that smile. We were able to save Counselor Floric and also Benrin. The main objective here is to actually grab all the explosive barrels that is behind Walkeen's Rest in the Zentrum outpost. While I was there, I also rescued Oscar Fevris from the Zentrum by spending way too much money on him so he can be free. I hope to God this man is worth it when I meet him in Act 3. Now that we got everything that we need over there, we're gonna head straight to the goblin camp. As a bard, I want to personally systematically eliminate these goblins with as little struggle as possible, which means there's gonna be a lot of setup that needs to happen. But first things first, I gotta rescue the owlbear. Then I took the wyvern toxin Nettie gave me to poison the ale that the goblins were drinking from. After passing the deception check, I move inside to find Halsin. I took a little detour to rescue Liam and Volo, as well as getting a little BDSM session with the Loviatar priest. I swear, it's for a permanent buff, okay? It's not a kink, it's not a kink. Anyways, so then I rescued Halsin from the prison, and then told him to stay put, because I want to take care of these goblins without him rampaging through the whole place. So the first target on the list, of course, is Priestess Gut. After luring her into a room by herself, we quickly eliminated her before she could call for help. Then I head outside to use my bard skill to distract everyone. I'm doing this so that Karlach can sneak to the room to the left to grab, you guessed it, more explosive barrels. Then I went over to meet Dror Ragzlin, but I left that conversation in neutral terms because I want to leave him for last. He then told me to report to Minthara, which is my second target, but before I do, this is where my plan comes together, as I left a care packet for Dror Ragzlin. Of course, I had to test the explosion at least once to see if it worked. Alright, test one. After that though, I reset my save and went to chat with Minthara. This is where people are gonna start scratching their heads, because I'm going to voluntarily tell Minthara to go to the Emerald Grove. Because you remember I told you earlier, I don't want any of the tieflings to die. Wouldn't bringing Minthara to the Grove risk casualties? Well, now this is where all the barrel bombs I collected comes in. We're gonna fast travel back to the Emerald Grove now. And I memorized where all the goblins are gonna spawn. So I had Lae'zel and Karlach pick up all the bombs from camp. And we started laying them, just laying them everywhere I can remember, anywhere I can think of. Because ideally I want to deal with them all in one go. After all the barrels are set up, I sound the horn to initiate the horde. Alright. Zevlor would then give his big speech.
Attention, calling all epic Fortnite gamers.
And then Minthara would telepathically communicate with me to open the door. This is where we say psych and defend the grove. As the fight begins, one of the spiders got initiative first and made me really nervous because he almost killed a tiefling. It also didn't help that one of the barreled goblins almost made it to the door. But luckily the next turn is Karlach and I positioned her perfectly to do this.
Oh my god. Zero!
Clip that! Jesus Christ! After that explosive display, all we have to deal with left is that stray spider and that one goblin that slipped through. And there we go, we saved all the tieflings, except for one that almost fucking died, but don't worry about that. Zevlor gave his big victory speech, and then Halsin came back because apparently we made enough chaos for him to just slip by as a bear. Or maybe a rat, I don't know. But that's not all for me, folks. I went back to the goblins' camp and started an all-out war with everyone else. First, I went to the entrance and got rid of all the goblins and ogres there, and then I made my way up top through the temple just to sneak past all the guards to blow up Drawer Ragslin one last time. Okay, that worked. And then the rest was trivial. I made sure it was a bloodbath. We made sure every goblin there was eliminated. Except for that one goblin that was a rebel and didn't follow the absolute. And I decided, you know what, let's rescue him. I want at least one goblin to get out alive. And then So turns out every goblin did die after all. I did not know that there was a bomb rigged onto that door. Maybe that's enough bloodbath today. Let's go back and celebrate with all the tieflings. I start the night off by getting rejected by a Starian and a little bit of successful flirtatious talk with Karlak. And then getting rejected by Shadowheart. And then maybe getting flirted on by Lae'zel? I don't know what she's... Oh, I then checked in on all the tieflings. I'm sure their travels to Baldurs Gate will have no hitches and no problems whatsoever. I'm sure that, we won't see them in Act 2 or anything. And that will be a great cutoff point for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys made it this far, I had a lot of fun making this video, and I'm sure Michael had a great time editing this. Right, Michael? I can't hear him. I'm sure he's having a great time. Anyways, like if you liked the video, subscribe if you want to see more. We're gonna try to pump out as much of this as we can, but this is our first time doing this type of video. So yeah, leave an emoji in the comments or tell me what happened at band camp if you've been to band camp. Do people even go to band camps anymore?